There we go. Okay, sorry. I keep forgetting to push the button, and then I have all these wonderful things to say, and there's no record of them anymore. So the idea of how we do what we do here in this world that we seem to be living in, and also how the bridge to the real world, the world where of God, the world of home. What is that bridge made out of? And the bridge is made out of love. And so it is imperative that if we are going to be effective as an organization in our mind of there must be a better way, that we must lock into that building material of love, make it the entire thing, the entire structure of whatever we want to do be love, because the only thing that's going to make there must be a better way work is if there are people coming looking for love, and that we can support that and we can provide that to them, not by teaching love, because as the opening of the course says, love cannot be taught. We can only teach how to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And so how do we do that? What tools do we use? What tools do we have that can be applied to each individual person or teacher that comes to us to teach us why I need to learn love, why I need to learn how to remove the obstacle to love's presence in my own life, in my own existence, in my own mind. So that's where I wanted to start, was with that, setting up that toolbox. If I'm sitting in my storefront, wherever that is, whether it be wearing a t-shirt or just being present in a crowded bus station or whatever, what can I reach down into my toolbox and bring out to help facilitate the idea that there is only love, and that love is what is going to heal whatever this teacher who comes before me has come to teach me. So that's my thought. And what is that? Does that generate anything in anyone's mind?
Hi. Yes. Hi, Caroline. Christopher and I experience the answer to your question every day now, because we are joining together in a place that is the opposite of love in some sense. It's a nursing home where there are about, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50, maybe more people, in two floors, and it's a small place. And Christopher and I, when we are together, we are full of love. We feel that love, and we experience that love, and we also wanted to share this love, because right now we are in the room, in Chris's room. He's sharing a room with another person, and then there is a bathroom that is shared by two other people that are on the other side, which means there are two rooms that share the same bathroom, and there is very little lack of privacy. Very little privacy. The food that is Chris eating now is, the best they can make, to say it in a nice way. People are working very hard. Last night I was here at 7 o'clock in the evening, and I, for the first time, experienced what's happening there, at that time. Now, what we discovered about, to answer your question, that everyone is almost looking for love. Every person is either looking to share the love, they're full of love, or they want, they need, they're asking for love. And the what is happening is that we are trying to be empty of our sense of self, of identity, of the I, which is still there. Like Chris is Chris, Danny is Danny. We have two bodies, you know, but to become aware of the presence of love is a prayer. It's a constant prayer to God, which is really our very self, our essence, and to ask God to help us this moment. Because last time, Baraka, I asked you a question and you answered me beautifully. What is the way to reach God? And you said the only way is in the moment, in the present moment. And that's what we are trying to do every moment. And what you taught me, Baraka, is a feeling of lack of personal interest in things, because I still have some investment in some kind of little things in the world, you know. And like last week, you taught me some beautiful thing. What James was saying, the word return. Look, many times, just return. So I feel that in our meetings, we are inspired by this energy that flows through us. We are sharing with each other, and what happens in our lives through that is already the answer to your question. It's already happening now. You know, there are so many beautiful miracles, and yesterday for me was one of the most difficult days of my life, and I thought to share, to ask for help, you know, from you and from this small group. But I actually received the answer, because what happened yesterday, it was just vibrations. There was no one to blame. You know, it was like when I went to the nursing home late in the evening, and I mean, at 7 o'clock, I was not late, but Chris and I were joining, and there was a beautiful love between us, a beautiful feel. And then a woman came, and her name was, doesn't matter, I don't remember her name right now, Charlotte. Her name was Charlotte. And we wanted to share our love with Charlotte. And Chris was by us. And I remember that Charlotte was talking about the ocean last time. So I asked her, what do you feel about the ocean? And I asked her, do you believe in God? And she said, yes. And I asked her, can you pray to God right now? And she prayed in a beautiful way. And then what happened, she started talking about her life and about things in the nursing home and about the fact that it costs, you know, too much money and that she cannot go home and so on. All this dream-like worldly stuff. And I couldn't stop her because she was talking. And by the end of this, it didn't take too long, but I must say, I was so unharmonious within myself. There was nobody to blame. This is why when we meet, like Jesus said, when two of us meet in God's name or in my name, I'm there, you know, and that means like what we meet now, we generate an energy field in the earth that is then creating vibrations, because in reality we are just vibrations. We are not individuals, you know. So I feel that that's the kind of the answer. Thank you for asking me.
The idea that there is a uh, I like thinking the idea that there is a toolkit, that there is an actual box of tricks that we can reach into, provided for us, provided to us by our brother Jesus, and by the reflection of love that we receive from our brothers here in this world. And it's also interesting that you bring up the idea that there is a there, for no reason whatsoever, all of a sudden there seems to be a problem, and the ego can do that so readily. It's so easy for it to generate a vibration that says something's wrong. I don't know what it is. I can't say what it is. In fact, I don't think it's not here. It's then or when. It's not here. But as long as I can keep you guys focusing on then or when, now is with the solution of now, it cannot be easily accessed. So when we are in the presence of someone who is expressing fear for some reason, it is very easy to see that the fear, what is being experienced, is not here, right now. And so the only thing that can bring our mind back to right here, right now, is the tool, the one big tool in the toolbox, which is love.
Oh, oh,
Hi, Judy. Hi, Linda.
hello, love.
Thanks for joining us today.
I erupt with love when you say
Good.
love.
Please, please do it right now. Let me see it.
Oh, here it is. Hello,
Thank you.
all. Good
you.
morning. Good morning. Good morning. Afternoon.
Yeah.
Happy
So,
day.
what sort of spurred this on for those of you who just joined us? What's just spurred us on was I just received this in the mail yesterday, and it is it brought to mind the idea that we have a toolbox that we carry with us. And when we encounter a teacher who has come before us to teach us a lesson is always love. And whether it's love that they are teaching or it's fear that they think they are teaching, the proper response is always love, always. There is no other response except love. Yes, Carolyn.
I just wanted to clear it. The title of the book is A Course of Love.
A course of love, yes, of love, yes, of love.
A Course in Love, and by whom?
Well, it's channeled like the Course in Miracles is. On the cover, it says, first, there we go, first receiver. Her name is Mary Perrone. But she doesn't list herself as the author. She just lists herself as being the first receiver. And as I was saying earlier, this comes out of the conflict that was involved with the copyright for A Course in Miracles.
Okay.
Well, they had a big deal about it.
Perron, P-E-R.
P-E-R-R-O-N.
I'd like to get it.
Yeah,
Did you get it on Amazon?
Yeah, I did, and they have a relatively inexpensive used versions. This is used, and as you can see, it's in very good condition. But it is billed as, and the voice that gave it to Mary was the voice of Jesus again. It is billed as the continuation of, or a follow-up to, A Course in Miracles.
Ah.
So they are very much related. They are very much given in the same voice, although this is Helen's love of iambic pentameter is not present in this book, so it's a little easier to read.
When we're finished here, I think I will go and order it.
Yeah. The idea of there being I like the idea that I'm carrying around this toolbox, and in this toolbox I can reach in and I can pull out, I can pray for the proper tool to be pulled out of the toolbox and offered to whatever teacher is standing before me, teaching me the lesson. Is it fear? Is it love? Is it dominoes? Is it checkers? Is it Go? I mean, how complicated a game are we playing here? And each of those situations gives me an opportunity to reach into this toolbox and pull out the right kind of love.
Yes.
Is it
Yes.
a screwdriver, or is it a monkey wrench, or is it, you know, but they all are tools, but they all provide the same solution, because there is no other solution except love. And I just
Right.
pray that that choice of tool, the removal of the obstacles to love's presence, is it a big old lever that can wrench it out of the way? Is it a hammer that knocks it out of the way, or whatever? But the solution is always the removal of the awareness of love's presence.
That's
Of
an
the- of the-
excellent, Baraka. That is so excellent. We need things to cling to. And
Yes.
having a toolbox, cosmetic bag, we need things to, and that was very helpful.
Do you
I
have that
just-
book, Judy?
I just came to that. I just came with that. I just.
Oh, darling, good morning.
I was
Yes,
just,
Jenny.
I was just thinking about this when I was walking in the woods this morning, and I hope I can remember, because 3 or 4 tools came to my mind. One of them is actually the lesson from today, which is
Beautiful.
basically remembering who is my source. I mean, I did not create myself.
Mm.
So
Oh,
this,
yeah.
yes,
It's especially
it's like-
lovely today.
it's a
Thank God.
subconscious- It's something that happens in an instant like that. Because every moment the ego is trying to get in. Every moment the ego is trying to brainwash me and to hypnotize me into believing in this world. And the answer is also every moment. So that's one. And then another one that came to me is the breath. The breath is an amazing tool.
Mhm.
God, that's the connection between us and God. And it happens in the moment, and we cannot even not breathe. That's for one thing. So, but we can choose to breathe continuously. You see, continuously, not necessarily a yogic breath, not some special kind of technique, not some big thing, but simply breathing, you know, in and out. You know, so that's the second one. And the third one was related to something I heard a few days ago, and I'm trying to integrate it. And this is that every moment there is a thought, like everything that I see is a thought, but the thought of to know that the world is a world of ideas, that this is not, this tree is a thought, that what I'm experiencing now, like right now I'm with Chris in his room, it's a thought, it's not matter. Matter is the outside, it's not true, there is no matter. Matter doesn't matter. That's the only thing about matter, that it doesn't matter. The thought underneath this matters. So those were the 3 things, and I try to remember them so we can, like, that's the, you know, something that I was just thinking this morning. Thank you.
You know, I was just thinking, it is very difficult to get in trouble if you're breathing. If you're consciously breathing, a lot of times when James starts the sessions, he says, let's take a couple of deep breaths. Well, if you're in the moment of that breath, it's really difficult for ego to make trouble then, because you're considering the outside world and bringing it in, and then taking the inside world and breathing it out. And in that process, the world itself is the when and then are no longer accessible, because the breath is only here now. And so it's like the word return. If I find myself in the jaws of then or when, all I have to do is say the word return and maybe take a deep breath, and all of a sudden all that other stuff just disappears. So the tool that we have, every single tool that we have must reside in the now. If we try to bring it in from then or when, it's not an effective tool, even if it looks like the same. If it's not right here, right now, there is no effectiveness to that tool, because then we're trying to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. We're trying to fix something that was before or is coming up, but instead of just being where we are right now. Deep breath in, exhale, deep breath in, exhale. And during that time that I was doing that, I have no thought of anything but right here, right now. And the only thing that's right here, right now is love. Linda, hi, Linda.
Hello.
Hi, what do you think?
I think love is the answer. And I do agree that the breath is a very handy tool to use. It helps calm me down when I start getting anxious or distracted. The other thing that I feel is that there's this joy, and no matter what a person says, sometimes just listening, let them go on their little adventure of words and just let them do it, because sometimes when a person speaks long enough, they begin to hear themselves and they begin to go, oh, and they find the answer themselves. Sometimes all you have to do is just be there, present, quiet, peaceful, loving, and allow the then and when, to just take over that person and let them be, because that's what we need to do. We need to practice being in here and now. And as long as we're present and we're with our breath and we're in love, then that naturally radiates from us, and that naturally facilitates peaceful interactions. Even, even when you're driving down the road and someone cuts you off, or crazy things. A couple crazy things happened on the way home yesterday that got my husband a little upset, but no, I was just thankful we weren't in an accident. That's where I went to. It's like, that was close, but that was nice. Thank you, God.
Right.
Everything's fine. And it is like I was reading one of James's books, and it was talking about nothing changes once you're enlightened. Everything stays the same except your perception of life, how you appreciate life, how you appreciate. I mean, there was this most beautiful scene on the way home that was like mountains and then clouds, and something I've not seen very often. And there were like little waves of clouds above the clouds, and it's like, wow, pretty amazing. And just looking at the rocks and seeing how they were formed was just so miraculous to me. It was just so awesome. It was like, this is really fun. And I think that's what changes within yourself as you become more aligned to living a life of love.
Well, those rocks and those clouds and everything are probably all there all the time, but it's our frame of mind that we observe them with that changes, that gives them meaning. Because everything I see, everything I do, everything I hear, everything I taste has all the meaning that I give it.
Right.
And so I'm going to be as mindful as possible of giving everything the meaning of love. And that way, look how beautiful it all is.
It is, yeah.
Well, the idea and I like the idea of letting someone ramble on like I'm doing right now, of talking about what they perceive to be the problem in their existence at this moment. The more you let them talk, the more they come down to the now, because they run out of stories to tell about the then and when, and so all they've got left is the now. And when they finally come to that idea, they realize that right here, right now, that problem that they've been talking about isn't here. It's not present here right now. It's something that doesn't exist, either the past or the future. And so being right here, right now, all of a sudden, it's a lot easier to deal with that obstacle to the love's presence, to the awareness of love's presence in the now. Yes, Carolyn.
Oh, questions are coming to my mind about the ego and the now and the truth. And when we talk about a person who perhaps attacks us or doesn't agree with us or something, we talk about sending them love, absorbing them in the love. And why don't we do that with the ego? As long as I keep saying the ego is opposed to me, the ego is trying to do, I'm giving that ego, or whatever you want to call it, power. Why not absorb the ego with me so that the ego becomes part of me and is loved and therefore does not oppose and fight me? I don't
Well,
see, I mean,
then
maybe
then
not
it's
saying
no
it
longer
very
the
well,
ego.
but
No, I understand, but then it isn't the ego anymore. You've disarmed it.
exactly,
Yes.
the ego has dissolved
Mm-hmm.
and become love. Is that not possible?
It,
Yes.
it absolutely is possible. In fact, it's the only way, and that is we've got to stop making the ego the big bad boogeyman.
Yes.
Then it gives power and it gives
Exactly.
an opposition. No, absorb it, become one and dissolve it and be, so that it's not. Do you understand what I'm trying to
Yeah,
get at?
absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
I like referring to the ego as the little critter.
Well,
It's
even that is giving it identity.
but
and
what it
power.
what it is, see, as soon as if you're giving an identity, if you're not giving an identity, then it doesn't exist. Then the ego
But
just
isn't that
stops.
lovely?
Yes, it does. And that's what we're here to learn, is how to stop giving the ego its power, stop giving the ego its moment in the sunshine.
And I would
and
say stop saying stop and instead say embrace and love the ego into fulfillment,
right.
into part of me.
It's such
But
an interesting topic, Carolyn. It's the crux of the matter. For my ego to dissolve into me and be reprogrammed is exactly what the Course says is going to happen. Nothing gets lost, nothing gets left behind. Our poor little ego. I think it's like a toddler who has taken on too much responsibility. And we have let it. But now we're the grown-ups and we're saying, no, honey, you can't fly that plane. That's God's job. You take care of my doctor's appointments, keep the fruit salad happening, and be happy. Go play with your friends. This Carolyn, I love this. This is this to me, I mean, we're not going to get rid of it. So to embrace the sweetness, but we gave it too much responsibility. Amen.
Love the ego, absorb it into oneness with us. I wrote a few things.
And it stops being the ego at that point.
Yes, it does.
It
becomes
does. It just
now.
right. And that's in the ego's mind. That is the most threatening thing of all.
Well, it's a toddler. It's a toddler, but it'll wake up.
It will, but we are responsible for doing that. We can't just let it go on its own. we
I
have
know.
we have to be, first of all, we have to be responsible for the idea.
We love it
That-
into
God is,
transformation.
God, God is
right.
responsible, not me.
Well,
I turn it
here,
to the
here-
beloved.
here,
to the
here in
beloved.
this illusion of separation, I am responsible for everything that I see. I
Sure.
give everything all the meaning it has, including
Yes.
the ego.
Yes.
And so therefore it is to put the salve on the burn.
Yeah.
I must refer to the ego as that thing which wants me, desperately needs, in order to keep itself surviving,
Yeah.
desperately wants me to see myself as being separate from God.
I know. Poor little thing.
I know, and it's a losing battle for itself, and it knows it, and that's why it
Let's
keeps
give it
getting
a
so
teddy
upset.
bear.
Okay,
Give the ego a teddy bear. Teddy Poppy Bear.
wait a minute, just saying, hold on. I don't have a teddy bear, but I do have my Grogu.
Oh, darling, look at your friend. Excellent.
Like
A lot of wisdom,
like this,
a lot
babe.
of comfort.
Huh.
Okay. So much for that. You say right there. Okay, Deborah. Yes, Danny.
What I would like to share is a parallel way to look at this from another vantage point, which is tremendously helpful for me lately. And this is the book by Michael Brown called The Presence Process. And the language that he uses, or the kind of perception, is that when we were children, we were looking for unconditional love. But because our parents were not able to give us usually unconditional love, there were all kinds of situations that happened when we were very, very young, that we did not have the conceptual mental capabilities to express them, but they were stored in our emotional body as unintegrated charges, emotional charges, which are calling themselves to be integrated. And everything that happens in us, in our outside life, in the external, perceptual reality of the senses, is basically an opportunity, because there is nothing that actually exists out there. It's all neutral, but we create the meaning, and the meaning comes from those unintegrated emotional charges. And I experienced it lately tremendously with my wife, because my wife was raised by a mother that didn't have a mother. Her mother died. My wife's grandmother, her mother's mother, died when her mother was a few months old, and she was raised by her sister just before the Second World War. And then the Holocaust started, and they were in Poland and so forth. And my wife was born right after the war in 1950 in Poland. And so she experienced some tremendous emotional charges that, for example, one very powerful one charge was that her mother was always resentful, always unhappy. And Chaya, my beloved wife, was living with that situation. Now, I, on the other hand, was born to a mother who lost all her family also in the Holocaust, and I was her husband in my past life, which is a part of the story. It's true in relative truth of the stories. And my mother was grieving while I was her only child, born in 1949, where my mother was grieving, and I, as her beloved son, wanted to make my wife happy. But I never succeeded because she was always upset. And that happened before I had any mental capabilities to understand it. So it is a huge emotional charge. So here I am with my wife. She becomes my mother. We are married for more than 50 years. And I continuously try to make my wife happy. No matter what I do, it doesn't help. And I complain, and I complain. Whatever I do, well, I complain because I'm not fully understanding that that's the greatest gift for me, because she gives me an opportunity to forgive, which means basically to integrate the unintegrated emotions that are in my subconscious mind from childhood. And my wife has the opportunity to integrate the same similar things with me. And so our special relationship slowly is becoming a holy relationship when we are becoming aware of this process. So from that perspective, the ego here, what you were telling, because the ego is just a concept, is a thought. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's a concept that we created, ego, that actually can be defined in other words, like my little child, the unintegrated child. So I'm taking this child, just like you did with this beautiful example of the animal, and I thought to bring Christopher, I have a little wolf, that Lizzie Gray Wolf gave me, and it's like a dog wolf, and I love it. And when I feel a little, like I need some comfort, it hugs me and we play together. Many people in the nursing home have stuffed animals, which is actually a wonderful, wonderful thing. So that's what I'm taking. I'm taking my unintegrated child in my arms, and I comfort it, and I say, that's the ego, same thing. And what Judy was saying is exactly the same thing, just another form. Just, it dissolves. The unintegrated child is becoming integrated with me. There is only I, the I am, the infinite presence, God. That's the only reality, and that's where we are all heading to. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
Danny.
The idea that there is something outside of ourselves that can represent the absence of God is, I think, one of the biggest fallacies that the ego wants us to believe.
Okay.
We are ourselves our biggest obstacle to the presence of love. We can also be the biggest opening to the presence of love, depending on where we reside. Do we reside in the then and when, or do we reside in the now? There's only one place where love has power, and that is because it's the only thing that is here, and that is love. When I try to make something either in my present, in my past, or in my future real, all I'm doing is giving up the power of love and giving it over to the idea of something separate from God, because God is only now. And if we are not here, right now, we are not seeing ourselves in the presence of God. The ego exists everywhere except now. Right here, right now, the ego has no power whatsoever. In the presence of fear, we move off of that center point of now into either a presence of oh my God, what this could happen, or
What
oh my
if?
God, that did happen. You
What
know,
if?
what if and what if and oh my God, what happened? What was that? What was that? Well, it was then. It's not now.
Yes.
So we are responsible for our own location. We are responsible for, are we and when, or are we now? And there is nothing else that can be more powerful than our own responsibility. In fact, there is nothing more powerful than that. There is no power other than seeing ourselves as being right here, right now, in the presence of love, and giving love all the power that it can give to us, extending that out into the world through spirit and with the help of spirit, by saying, okay, I don't have the strength to do this by myself. Spirit, Holy Spirit, voice for God, please give to me now. I give to you now, I should say. Let me rephrase that. I give to you now all that there is in my being that is love, and acknowledging that fact, acknowledging that presence of love right here, right now, and therefore taking away the power of the ego and bringing it back to the gentleness of love, including love of the little critter. Gail, you got any thoughts?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts, but I was thinking,
Careful, careful.
okay, all right, thinking about the toolbox and and what you just said to me just erases all those thoughts. Gentleness. That's it. Gentleness. That's how I give love, receive love, and for many years, that's how I was in the present moment. My prior life as my employment. Well, I was a massage therapist for 20 years, and among other things.
I've got this little kink right here.
Yeah, I know. Alex, let me see how you are. Anyway, so now when I'm in the now, I'm in the present moment, looking at the hummingbird feeder or being in nature. I live in a national park, so it's not hard. But when I want to give love or receive love, I'm thinking about all the conversations or, the planning and all that stuff. Gentleness, that's the most thing for me, because that hasn't been a part of my life, my previous life. But okay, so when I was thinking, okay, what would my tool be? Okay, that word, but what would my tool be? Toolbox. And to me, it's nature, plants, that kind of stuff. But that's how I receive it and giving it. I'm a docent at one of the cultural center at the national park. So people come in and I talk to them. The most important way I give and receive and is smiling, welcome, and laughing. I'm a collector of people's laughs, and I just love to hear people laugh. So that's the way, my toolbox, let's put it that way. I'm rambling, but that's it. Gentleness, laughter, and smiling.
You know what? Rambling is just thoughts in the moment.
Okay.
You're not preconceived, you're not pregenerated. Rambling is just what is happening in the moment. And it is a constant process of return.
Right. I like it.
Me too.
Well, I have returned. My battery died.
Oh,
I had to go replug, re-DD.
I needed that too.
Ramblin' Jack Elliott is what I'm thinking about. Ramblin' Jack Elliott. What a delightful individual dedicated to joy. Yeah, we ramble.
I don't know this person.
Oh, he's a musician.
Musician, yeah, old time musician.
Oh, wonderful musician.
Yes.
Elderly now, still playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like us. I like
Still playing.
what you had to share, Gail. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, I was thinking that where we are represents how we are going to represents the environment in which we are going to extend love. And Gail, you have created your environment. You are there because you willed it to be so.
Indeed. Yes.
And we can either create an environment that makes it more difficult to extend love, or makes it easier to extend love. I don't think there's a neutral there. I don't think there's a non-committal. You're either extending love in an environment or not extending love in an environment.
Right.
And that creates the environment itself. So therefore, and so you're extending the love has created your environment, and in turn, that environment helps you extend the love. Vicious circle, very vicious, terribly vicious circle. And that is the circle that rotates around the perimeter or the boundaries of the ego. And the tighter we can bring that in, the tighter we rein in the ego, and the more it becomes just a little thing that we can show love to, rather than finding it a threatening boogeyman hiding in the darkness under the bed.
I like that, the little thing that we can show love to. Yes.
Yes. Mhm.
The little critter. I like that. Yeah.
And how wonderful excuse me a second. How wonderful a proof I can hold to myself by showing myself the love that I can extend to the ego. I can be that love. I can be that presence of love. And the ego stops being the obstacle to the presence of love. I can actually have it help me be the presence of love by lessening its effect, by saying, okay, look, this is no longer what I want. This is not what's this the saying? This is not worthy of the Son of God.
Ah.
This
Yes.
is not worthy of the Son of God.
Yep. No, thank you.
And the ego has to agree. Eventually, it has to agree. If I keep harping on that, if I keep saying return, return, return to love, this is not worthy of the Son of God, eventually the ego goes, okay, and gives up until the next time, of course. But the more we practice doing that, the less power I give the ego, the more love the ego has to absorb, because that's the only thing there. When I'm breathing in, the only thing I can breathe in is air. There's nothing else there for me to breathe in. And so there's nothing else for the ego to breathe in except the love that I keep extending outward. And I do that with myself, with the ego. And I just had a thought. The ego is my greatest client. And there must be a better way.
There
I don't
is a
have to-
better way.
I don't have to wait for someone else to come show up and read my t-shirt or show up in my storefront and everything. My ego is right there right now. I can practice on the ego. I just had
I like that. Yes.
Danny, did you have something?
No, this is a powerful idea. Very powerful idea.
I am my own greatest client.
Yeah, the ego is our greatest client. Wow. Let's take it. See, that's something to actually integrate this idea. It's
Mhm.
so powerful. Wow.
I've not been too much into this book yet. I'm wondering if there don't seem to be any. I'm wondering if there are any prayers. No, I guess not. Let me get my course book just a second here. I am in a rolly chair, And the room that I'm sitting in, the floor slants ever so slightly. So if I take the wrong set of motions, all of a sudden I start sliding towards the side of the room here. So I have to I have to find myself
Before we say goodbye.
what is this? This is lesson 121.
Okay.
This is the prayer at the end of lesson 121. The lesson is forgiveness is the key to happiness.
Yes.
Hmm.
Forgiveness is the key to happiness. I would awaken from the dream that I am mortal, fallible, and full of sin, and know I am the perfect Son of God.
Yes.
Amen.
And the best way to do that is to remove the presence, the obstacles to the presence of love.
Okay.
And I cannot do that any better than by teaching myself how to do that. Teaching myself. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being our pilot on this cruise.
Yes.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining me on the cruise. I will let's see, I'm going to turn off the recording. There we go.